For International Women's Day, I thought it would be a good time for us to appreciate the women of Sulfur. Myself being a man, who's better than to appreciate some women? Am I right, fellas? Up top, and everyone else, up top, girls. Wait, this all sounds so. Basically, it's International Women's Day. Women's Day. Am I saying Women's Day? International Women's Day today, which is the 8th, which is the day that I record this. So I could have put this up today on the 8th, but instead I decided to just do this for the Susu because no, we shouldn't just appreciate the women in our lives and the women everywhere on International Women's Day. That's just a reminder to keep appreciating them all the time because they're always doing great stuff, whether it's stuff outside of Sulfur or stuff inside Sulfur. What we could do for that is just tack it onto the Susu, because other than that, nothing really happened in the world of Sulfur this week, like nothing. I think I might have streamed at the beginning of the week, but outside of that, no, nothing. No news, no crazy stuff. There was one bug that somebody found that I looked into that sounded a lot crazier than it was, but we'll get into that. First, we need a tier list, the women of Sulfur. We're going to line them up. We're going to judge them equally. Or sort of not equally. Also, before we get into Susu Week 7, I'm just joking around. Like, all this is not serious. We're not being totally serious right now. We like to have fun around here, so have a little bit of fun with me, please. So, for this Women of Sulfur tier list, I had some ground rules. No enemies, because we can't confirm genders of goblins, humans, or the garbage people in the sewers, or even the ghosts. You might look at the ghosts and be like, hey, that got long hair and kind of with a whale, maybe is a little feminine, but we can't say for certain, so we're not going to throw them in. We're going to put in the people that are most likely to be they're women, to my knowledge. I mean, they might be like gender neutral or something, or identify as something else. I don't really read a lot of the lore or the dialogue. Again, I've been begging for weeks for somebody to make a lore breakdown of Sulfur, and at this point it might have to be me, and I'm really scared of that because I'm gonna get some stuff wrong because I don't take anything in life very seriously, and I advise you to do the same. Just have a little bit of fun. I feel like I just said that like a minute ago. Feels like I'm having to justify everything I'm doing, which, granted, what we are doing is weird. We will be ranking 6 ladies from Sulfur, all on how awesome they are. Starting with the number 1 homegirl, Ralphie. It's an easy queen tier. The other tiers are mid and garbage. So you don't want to end up in one of those. Now, Ralphie is the most reliable NPC in the game. They're going to repair your weapons. They're going to sell you stuff like attachments and chisels. They're super useful. Plus, they're smoking hot. That's what we should be doing right now, right? For International Women's Day, is talking about if a woman is smoking hot, if it's a feisty babe. This is the weirdest video ever. This is what happens when there is nothing in Sulfur for the week. This is like the 3rd week in a row where we have not gotten any sort of news or updates. We're coming up on a month. Come Susu Week 8, if we don't have an update, it'll have been over a month since the Valentine's Day update. A month. And that means, what am I going to do then? So I am praying. I'm getting on my hands and knees. Send me to Sulfur if you can't do this for me. Just put me in. I'm really scared of what I'll come up with next. Who do we got next? We got Fex Schwinn, and it might be Vex Schwinn. I have a problem remembering her name. I don't know why. She's a G. She's got scrolls. She's got some ammo and some swing dings. The swing dings almost knocks her down to mid, but she's an easy queen tier. We love her. She's not Kevin. Fuck Kevin. Kevin sucks. I hate everything about Kevin, down to the stupid black stuff on coming out his mouth. Where'd you get that, bud? What are you doing? What's your issue? Also, I think Ralphie's pregnant. I think I remember someone saying that in the lore, that she's pregnant. So that's messed up, right? She's like in this like afterlife pregnant and still pregnant. Kind of scary. I feel bad for her. She doesn't deserve that. Hopefully she gets out. And I think she will, because I accidentally stumbled across some dialogue. I've said too much. Okay, next up, we got Ratma. I think she might be called the Rat Queen, but I call her Ratma. If you don't know what the reference is, that's fine. All hail Ratma. She is an easy queen tier. Why? Because she's the only NPC in the game, only vendor that you can buy cheese from, to my knowledge. I don't think the chef ever sells cheese. If he does, it's seldom seen. So we gotta give her credit right there. And also kidney pies whenever you need them. She's the unique vendor of the sewers, and the sewers kind of suck, so it's always nice to see her bright and shining face and her furry little friends. I used to own a bunch of rodents. I've owned mice, hamsters. I've never owned rats, but I've always loved rats. My siblings had rats. I always loved to play with them. They're super cute. Any other day of the week, this woman, this is the orphan mom. She is an evil, awful abomination in Sulfur. All of the humans are bad. That's why you shoot at them. These ones aren't wearing masks, so it's a little hard to tell. But it is International Women's Day, and she's not as bad as you might think. All right, she's queen tier to me. You might already realize, or already did a long time ago, what we're doing here. We're appreciating them. Let's get rid of mid. No, none of these women are mid, and none of them are garbage. Boom, grandma into queen. She might be the person I saw some weird dialogue from. If you go into the dev mode, start talking to her, because there could be some spoilers for the end of the game. Or don't do that, because I kind of regret doing it. I feel like I learned a little too much from that. We may have to go through and read every line of dialogue at some point. And St. Lucia, despite being the bad guy of this game, she is the queen. She's the Queen St. Lucia. Queen Lucia to some, I assume. I think I've heard that, or at least that's my headcanon for her. You know, she might be evil, but she's got her reasons, probably, at some point, that we don't really outwardly know. Is that showing my name? Oh, gonna have to blur that. There's my name right there. So yeah, that's our tier list of the ladies of Sulfur, all in easy S tier. But if I'm being honest, Ralphie's number one. Don't even at me, she's the best. For something so silly and insane, I think we did a pretty good job ranking the ladies of Sulfur. If you'd like to, let me know your ranking of the women of Sulfur. I'm realizing a lot of stuff right now, that this is where my brain went. Earlier today, I was like, hey, this could be a good idea. It's International Women's Day. And then the next thought was like, do you really think ranking women is smart? And I was like, at least it's not about their bra sizes or whatever. That'd be weird. That's probably something someone would do. I mean, there is that mod. I don't know if you saw the mod on the Steam page where they turn them into waifus, like everybody, like Kevin included. Like, why would you want a Kevin waifu? I have no idea. So it's not out of the realm of the gamer sphere. We'll go ahead and continue on the rest of our Susu adventure here. That's the Sulfur summary. I don't know if I said at the beginning, our weekly news report when it comes to Sulfur, and it has been a bit dry. I've had to get really creative with this. Luckily, that creativity has helped me spawn other ideas for videos I can make that hopefully next week will line the channel. At least one or two I'm gonna shoot for. It's been a tough week because there's been some big releases that I cannot lie have taken some of my time up. One of them is a flagship release from a company that pretty much everyone is playing right now, and I don't feel guilty for indulging myself in it a little bit. I have to. There is one other piece of Sulfur news, I guess. I saw earlier today when I was looking for something to do in the Sulfur Discord that someone found a game-breaking bug where they would make Cousin invincible if you threw a Molotov at him while he was coming up. This morning when I tried it the first time, I saw what they were talking about, and he was invincible, and I was like, hey, this is a really funny bug. This is really good. I mean, this is a nice find. And then I sat around for a minute just kind of jumping back and forth to see if the mobs would spawn, what other stuff would happen, and then he was no longer invincible. It was just the second he goes back under the mud and comes back out, he's killable again. So it's not really a game-breaking bug. I'm not sure if that's what they said verbatim, and I'm not even going to pull it up because it's still a bug, and it still needs to be reported, and I believe they already fixed it. So I just thought it was an interesting little bug. It's not that bad. I think I'm more disappointed it wasn't as bad as I wanted it. I wanted it to be so bad that you would get soft locked and couldn't progress in the first boss fight of the game without having to teleport out. That's another character. My wife just broke something out there. I doubt you could hear it. Or the baby did. I don't know what's going on. The amulet, though, was a character I wasn't sure if it had a gender because it is scented. Who's to say if it's... Why would... Not every set... Like, if a piece of toast came to life, with the first question, you'd be like, you a dude or you a chick? Probably not. You're probably just like, do you want me to eat you before you start growing weird stuff on you? That would suck to be food and become sentient. That's, like, gotta be the worst thing because your lifespan is a few days. Or you could get frozen. But then, like... Can you die if you freeze? Or do you just like fall asleep? That's a question for Sentient Toast. Someone requested that I do another soul flock using the previous soul flock rules, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that again soon and launch it up. Like I always say, if you guys want to see something, let me know. And especially if it's something I've done before that's easy enough to get going, then I can definitely do it. Just let me know. I take every request into consideration. I read all the comments. Sometimes it takes a couple of days. That's something I have to work on. If I don't get down to the computer and I don't get to sit down for a day because I'm just busy the whole day, I need to tell myself to just make 15 minutes at the end of the night to check the comments and make sure that we're having the conversations that I always promise. They'll happen eventually, no matter what. Just like another Soul Flock series will be happening no matter what. Like I said once before, there's nothing new in the world of Sulfur. Everything I've said today came straight out my ass, and I'm doing the best I can because I made a commitment to this. If you have anything that you saw happen in Sulfur that I missed, let me know, and I will make sure to either, if it's big, I'll make a whole video about it or talk about it in the next Susu. Maybe I just didn't see it somewhere. Sometimes you guys have a more keen eye for this than I do. Please make sure to report that news to me at any time in the comment section or the Discord, the TMU. You can find the link in the YouTube channel. Look at the About Me section, the plus more or whatever. There's a link in there for the Discord. If you're looking for upcoming game recommendations, I played Tempest Tower, which was directly recommended by Perfect Random, the devs of Sulfur. So make sure to, Sulfur. Sound like I said Sulfur. Make sure to check out Tempest Tower. There is a demo available. It's kind of tough right now. They're working on making it a little bit more balanced so that the player has a better chance to win. If you watch my gameplay of it, you know how hard that game can get, but it is very fun. So make sure to give it a whirl and a demo check for me. Do it for me. And then you're also doing it for Perfect Random and Indie Gaming Everywhere. It's a cool little tower defense game with a fun art style that is reminiscent of Sulfur and some roguelite elements sprinkled in there. So if you like roguelites, it's not going to hurt to just play the demo. Another banger that we played, there's a few bangers this week, but the second one we played was Haste Unbroken Worlds, or is it Haste Broken Worlds? Look, I'm not saying the name is good, but it's Haste Broken Worlds. It's from Landfall, who have a kind of a reputation of making cheesy knockoffs or just like cheap knockoffs of games like, what was it? Totally Accurate Battlegrounds and stuff like that. Content Warning was basically Lethal Company with YouTube included. I kind of prefer Content Warning to some extent to Lethal Company, but I love them both. They're very identical games. But in Haste Broken Worlds, which does have a demo available, once again, go ahead, get your hands on it. They tried to do their own thing with like a free running procedural generation roguelite experience, and it's really fun and really addicting just in the demo alone. That's the only thing I can get my hands on right now, but I cannot wait for the full release so I can play the whole game because it is very fun and very addicting. It's a nice palate cleanser. If you've been playing other games and you need something weird and offbeat, this is a great game for that. You're just running. You're like Sonic the Hedgehog, and I said Sonic, and it's just a great time. So check that one out. You can watch my demo playthrough and then try it yourself, because you might want to run through it a few times. I know I did. I just unfortunately didn't have the time, but I did hit it again later. And lastly, the game that I said has been taking over my life just a little bit because it's hard not to. There's 1 million plus people playing it just on Steam every single day. Monster Hunter Wilds. I got lucky having a dad like Delacy, and he purchased the game for me, and it's hard to put down. I've always loved the Monster Hunter games since World, so not always, but that means I've been playing them for almost like a decade, so it's been a while. I've always enjoyed my time with them. I was super excited when he offered to get it for me. I appreciate you so much, Delacy. One of my favorite series of games, some of the easiest time sinks you'll ever play, and yes, obviously I loved it. I loved the playtest. I think I've done 2 or 3 videos on Monster Hunter Wilds already on the other channel, the Rebel Dottie, so if you want to see me play the full game, there's a video. It's kind of memey. I played with a pro. I mean, he is a professional gamer. The guy I played with is a professional gamer, but I hate to break it to you, I did not pay $50 an hour for it. That would have been ludicrous. All right, it was free of charge. That's a behind the scene BTS for the Monster Hunter Wilds video over on the Rebel Dottie. I love that game. Check it out if you have $70 to drop. I mean, it's a steep price tag. Why do you think I love indie games so much? Indie games can have the same amount of hours put into them, if not more, and you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to get them. I've seen people complain about Sulfur costing $25. Guys, it's definitely worth $25. Easily worth $25. I put in 300 plus hours in the game. It's easily worth $25. It could look like maybe not because you haven't seen any other games from Perfect Random. It is their first game. Once you actually play it, you're like, okay, this is worth the investment. It's worth the time and the money. Outside of Sulfur, though, there are plenty of indie games you can get. They're like 10, 15 bucks that will get you hours and hours of enjoyment. Isn't like Phasmophobia like 10 bucks, or was at one point? I don't know if it still is. And that game, people have been playing it since the day it came out, consistently still playing it. That's why I like to stick to indie games more than anything, but I cannot miss some of my favorite franchises. Unfortunately, I'm a sucker, and Capcom is... I love Capcom. Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, Dead Rising. These are some of my favorite games I've ever played. Capcom might be one of the most, if not the most consistent game developer. And then people are going to yell at me, Naughty Dog. Who do you think is the most consistent game developer? Not that every single thing they've done is great. Resident Evil 6, I think. Yeah, Resident Evil 6 sucked. Resident Evil 0 sucked. So, like, even for some of my favorite franchises, I can't get on board with all the games. Resident Evil 5 was good, though. Some people like to crap all over Resident Evil 5. It's good. It's cheesy and dumb, but it's a fun game. It's a fun game, a really good action game. Speaking of Resident Evil, did you guys see that Zach Krager, the guy who directed Barbarian, the dude who used to be in the Whitest Kids You Know comedy troupe, is supposed to be directing the next Resident Evil movie? I think that's an amazing choice. The only other person I could see I want to do it would be like Jordan Peele. If we're talking like actually making it a good horror movie, then one of those two would be great. Or like Ari Aster, but Jordan Peele and Ari Aster I don't think fit at all. I'm just talking about horror directors right now that I think are awesome. Who do you think is an awesome horror? I'm just going to do that after everything I say, like every other YouTuber. Hey, can you please engage with this video? Comment like 7 times, like the video on 4 to 5 alt accounts, and share it with your grandparents so that they're confused on why this man is talking about these video game characters and how great they are. That's how you YouTube. Until next week, another Susu next week, even if I have to pull some more crap out of my ass miraculously. What a way with words. Quite the wordsmith I was right there. But you guys, take it easy, have a good one, and look at this smooth transition out of here. For once, I'm not cutting off the ramble, unless you consider what I'm doing now to be rambling. And now I think I'm rambling because I had to tack on an explanation. So yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I fucking ruined it. I always ruin it.